So because we've got all these other pieces now sorted out, it's quite fun actually to then think, okay, let's create a product. We've got all the other, we don't have to worry about how to get the product to market. We've got all the communication organization done. Let's focus on those sales funnels.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Traffic Handler Podcast. I'm your host, Amy Biddle. We're talking about retail marketing here, about getting new customers and sales and growing your retail business with e-commerce. Today's guest is Misty Mozejko. Hey, Misty.
Hi.
Misty is a sales and marketing transformation specialist. So today we're going to talk about Misty's COPS formula, what it means, what it's for, and how it'll help you run your business better. Welcome, Misty.
Thank you very much for that stellar introduction. I'm thrilled to be here. It's always lovely to chat with you, and I'm excited to answer some questions today.
I'm just excited to be talking to you too. Misty and I have worked on a couple of different projects and have a history, and it's just nice to have you here, Misty, because you're just very talented and you've worked with a lot of big names and you've seen a lot of cool things. So let's talk about your COPS formula, COPS. And
yes.
So do you want to give us a little bit of the skinny on that?
Okay. So some of the background with, with where COPS came from is working with multiple organizations. So some solopreneurs all the way up to 7 and 8 figure organizations. And they call me and they say, hey, Misty, we want to make more money. And I say, that's cool. Yeah, totally. I'm down because I love making money. I love making money for people and I love making money for me. So it's totally my jam. So that's cool. So I go into their organizations and my sole focus is their sales and marketing team, right? Or the sales and marketing processes that they have, right? So one thing or multiple things that are very consistent with organizations is that they want all the money and they want to do all the sales and they want to get to this next financial milestone that they have laid out. But some of the foundational problems that they're running into are preventing that from happening. So foundational problems include communication, C, organization, O, productivity, P, and then obviously the last one's sales, S. So to get to the S part, to get to the sales part, you have to have good communication, good organization, and good productivity within your entire organization to even get the sales bit to happen. So I come into the organization and those are the things that we typically work on. While everyone yells at me and screams at me because they want to make more money, I have to then work on those things first so we can get to the money. So after working with all of the names and all of the people and all of the organizations, this is what it's come down to. And I called it COPS because I'm a bit of a badass.
Yeah, you are. I guarantee that is absolutely true. So I love that. Let me cut to the sponsor plug real quick, and then we're going to come back and really kind of dissect COPS and how to make that work for people. So today's episode is sponsored by Schema app for Shopify. Connect with customers at the beginning of their buying journey. Adding structured data to your Shopify store helps search engines better understand your website. This increases the chance of customers finding and purchasing products or services like yours. Get started today at schemaapp.com, schemaapp.com. Okay, I'm back. So communication starting now. I totally get, people come to me all the time. I've got members in my group at the highest levels and they want to start with the S. They want to start with sales. And in my organization, we do it a little bit differently because it's all retail. It's not, just one, it's your vertical. Well, you've worked in a bunch of different verticals. So, everybody wants to start at the end of the formula. So let's start at the beginning.
Yep.
Let's talk about communication and what that looks like.
So a lot of times I'm working with organizations that either have a few sole full-time contractors or employees and then multiple subcontractors.
Yes.
And so what ends up happening, or maybe their entire organization is a sole prop, and then they have people working for them, assistants, and people just coming in part-time and doing part-time hours. That's a very typical situation. So a lot of times what ends up happening, there's a disconnect with how the team as a unit, and I say team, even though they are subcontractors, and assistants and all over the world, how this virtual team is actually communicating. And so a lot of times projects can start to take a week. Like what should be solved in a day can be solved in a week or 2 or 3, or just completely forgotten because the fundamental communication tools have completely failed.
Yeah.
So, and when I say, and I'm, if you're listening to this and you're kind of thinking, oh, that sounds about right, the biggest faux pas organizations make is by doing most of their communication via email. And you know that I am an email marketer, but I am deadly against in-team communication, so internal correspondence happening via email. That has to stop. So we have to get proper communication. So that may be apps that we use. It might be different types of meetings that we have. It might be different Google documents or Google Sheets that we're using. It's all different depending on the organization. But as soon as we can free up the communication, we can start to get closer to where we need to be a lot quicker. So if an organization is like, why isn't this solved yet? This question should have been answered like 3 days ago. That's what we have to solve first and foremost.
Absolutely. Oh, that makes so much sense, because how many times, even in small teams, you got one guy at the desk and one guy in the warehouse, and they're not talking.
They're not talking.
It takes a week just to get stuff, 20 feet away. It's amazing. Yeah.
And it's frustrating. And I ran my own brick and mortar business for 15 years. And I can see where the disconnects happen. And if you're not completely focused on it 100% of the time, you don't mean for it to happen. Things just kind of get away from you, right? Because you're busy doing all the other things. So bringing someone in to streamline those processes so it becomes second nature to communicate in a certain style is really valuable. And everyone gets heard, and then they don't hate you, and then they won't leave. So there's other things that happen with communication as well.
Absolutely. Right. So in physics, they call that entropy, where you're just like fighting this whole system of everything falls apart. That's a book. So everything falls apart. Everything's dissolving all the time. And so, but once you have those systems in place that you're talking about, then, people, they use the system. The system is the thing that fights the entropy, not the people. So that's brilliant what you're talking about. Cool. All right. So how about the O? Let's go to O.
The big O. Yes. So organization means different things for different people, and there's different levels of organization for different sizes of teams. So this can be quite unique for each individual in each organization. But basically what it comes down to is when I'm working with small teams, maybe emerging businesses, and they've just been like in startup mode, right? And they're just flying by the seat of their pants. And every person on the team has everything stored on their own individual computer. I know. I knew that you would get that reaction. I knew I'd get that reaction.
Yes.
So this is what we're fighting, right? So there has to be a collective space, whether it's Google Drive or whether it's something else, right?
Right.
There has to be a collective space that is organized properly, and that somebody on the team is in control of it, because you can't just have everyone jumping stuff in and then it's going to be fine. No. So this is what it comes down to, is bringing a massive attention to where is everything stored? How are you organizing it? How have you, who have you put in charge of the system? So that's the stuff.
Yeah.
And then the on the other side of the coin is, how are you organizing the stuff that has to be done? So you've got, say, like you put Google Drive in place, everything's cool, you got it organized, but all that stuff has to do something. Yeah. So how are you organizing monthly, quarterly, yearly activities? How are you putting them in place? How are you assigning things? There's multiple ways to do it, but basically organizing all the pieces and then organizing all the people. Now, super unique to each team. So that's a big one for most people. But as soon as that organization gets under control and everyone knows where to find stuff and everyone knows what they're doing, the P part is pretty good. You can get to the P bit pretty easily.
Yes, absolutely. And so that makes a ton of sense, because the O could also be ownership, so organization and ownership work together. And that moves you very neatly. This is not your first time talking about this. This moves you very neatly into P.
Well, this is the thing, right? So productivity is one of the things, again, it's sort of like that communication issue. You wanted this thing solved in 20 minutes. And it could, the problem, the issue could have been solved in 20 minutes. But because all these other things aren't working, it's taking a week or 2 weeks or 3 to get like a simple thing fixed. Right. And so when we've got the communication, we've got the organization, and we've got an ownership, then all of a sudden productivity starts to happen, right? And there's other apps that we can put in play. There's a ton of productivity apps out there. I use all of them all the time. Even my children use them at this point. So there's a ton of apps that we can put in play to assist the communication, to assist the organization, and to make sure the productivity is right on point. So this is a big part of what slows organizations down. Startups don't like being slow. Therefore, it really frustrates them when they are being slow through no fault of their own. But yeah, it's all, they're all kind of layered on top of each other. And so we get this productivity, and everyone on the team knows what they're doing. Everyone knows how to communicate with each other. They're getting their stuff done. Tasks are being checked off. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
And then we can start to focus on the actual money to keep your business alive.
Right, exactly. And that productivity thing, that's key. That's, I love how all of these steps build one on the other, and you have to start with communication.
You
have to start with, so you really have to start at the beginning, because there's a cascading effect of, the success of one layer moves very neatly into the success of the next, and so on.
Right.
I mean, it's great. It's good.
Yeah.
So what happens when it's all a fine-tuned machine, well-oiled, everything's working? Do you make a bunch of sales? I mean, is that a natural thing?
Well, I mean, you once you've got your communication, organization, and productivity down, now you have the room and the time and the energy to focus on the sales piece. So the sales piece is how to automate your sales funnel, or how to, what product are you going to create, and how are you going to do the email marketing for it? So because we've got all these other pieces now sorted out, it's quite fun actually to then think, okay, let's create a product. We've got all the other, we don't have to worry about how to get the product to market. We've got all the communication organization done. Let's focus on those sales funnels.
Right.
And then we can start to build out whatever the service is, or the, or the product is. We start to build those funnels out, start to develop those products, start to get those affiliates going, whatever it is. And then we can start to focus on the money.
That's great. Okay. So there's stuff that happens inside of each one of these segments as well. So sales doesn't just mean, well, I've got communication, organization, and productivity nailed down. Sales is just a byproduct. It's not. So each one of those things has subsets, elements inside of each one to make them happen. So, one of the things that, knowing tools, so one of the things you and I talked about yesterday was that you're kind of moving from one way of working with people to another. I'll have in the show notes how people can get a hold of you to learn more. But, do you want to talk about kind of offering,
So, I work with various organizations, and it really depends on, where they're coming from. I do love to focus on female leadership and female entrepreneurs and women in business. We've both been in that background. So
that's right.
I will work with men as long as they are not, have their heads in the right, have their brains in the right spot. So it's, that's kind of my preference.
Yeah.
One of the major things is it's the program that I run through. It's definitely a 4 to 6 month program, and it's a retainer style program. But the organization has to want transformation. They have to be at a point where they're like, I have enough money to pay for Misty first and foremost, but I have the energy and I have the team that's going to really benefit from her services. Right. We typically work with teams. It can be anywhere from a team of say 4 to 5, all the way up to giant corporate style teams.
Great.
It's dependent on the size of the team and what they're up to. But the number one thing is they must have identified, okay, we have problems here and we need someone to come in and fix it all up.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as that awareness spectrum, how do they know they have a problem?
I think they are incredibly frustrated. I think frustration is the biggest problem, knowing that they're not moving fast enough. That's usually the biggest sign that things are not working appropriately within your business. If you are frustrated by, the speed of things, or you're not making enough money, or it's just difficult and overwhelming to write an email marketing sequence, like you're feeling like the weight of the world is on your shoulders and you don't know how to fix it, that's a big red flag. You're not supposed to be able to fix it though, because your perspective, like the business owner perspective versus my perspective, is very, very different.
Yes.
They're in the weeds, as they should be, working on the little bits and pieces. And I'm at 10,000 feet saying, okay, we've got to, change all these things around.
Yeah.
So if it's the weight of the world feeling, the frustration of just not knowing how to fix things, that's typically a good indicator that you need an expert to come in and kind of sort things out.
Absolutely. No, that makes a ton of sense. So we're coming to the end of our conversation. Is there anything you haven't talked about today that you really wanted to say? Like, oh, I got to remember to tell Amy's retailers this.
I think the biggest point is if there is a frustration inside your business, or you're finding that things that just aren't working the way you anticipated them to work, just take a step, right? Just grab a drink, a coffee, a tea, something stronger, sit down and write down on a piece of paper, COPS, right? Yeah. Communication, organization, productivity, and sales, and then give yourself a score out of 10. Say, okay, how do I think my team or my company is doing with communication? And if it's anywhere below like a 7, get some help, but look at it from this, it's hard, but try to pull yourself up to 10,000 feet and look at the company, as unbiasedly as you can, and then give yourself a little score out of 10 on all 4 of those. If you're scoring under 7, it's time for you to go get a mentor or someone to help you out, with aspects of your business. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, for our listeners, how to reach Misty is going to be in the show notes. So they can pop to the website. The website's under construction. The old one's up. It's disgracefulmarketing.com. And then soon to be my book is being published. So dishes.com is dishes.com.com. So I didn't really think about that URL. No, it's brilliant. I love it. But anyway, dishes.com.com will be the book title for female entrepreneurs. So that's in production, a couple of months time for that one. Good. Well, the podcast will be up and running and people will be able to find you. That's good. Yeah. That's good. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much. Let me cut to the final sponsor plug. Today's episode is also sponsored by Bold Apps. Bold offers a full suite of proven apps for Shopify and Shopify Plus to help you grow your online store, all backed by industry-leading support, including bundles, upsells, subscriptions, and much more. Find them at boldcommerce.com. So you've been listening today to the Traffic Handler podcast. Misty, thank you so much for joining us. This was brilliant. We're all about getting new customers, making sales, growing your retail business with e-commerce. I'm your host, Amy Biddle. Get more at amybiddle.me. And until next time, go sell more stuff.